All right, welcome back to Good Morning Nigeria. It's live on the network service of the NTA. Now, to begin our conversation on sustainable development, impact of global collaboration, let's take this background report by Ibrahim Belokunda.
President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is currently in for the Abu Dhabi Sustainability Week Summit, aimed at finding measurable solutions to sustainability issues around the world. Arguably considered the largest sustainability forum globally, the summit focuses on energy transformation, food security, impact of emerging technologies on sustainability, among others, all aimed at fostering collaboration and dialogue among global leaders and experts. Earlier in 2025, President Bola Tinubu at the Abu Dhabi Sustainability Week Summit announced plan for a $2 billion climate fund to boost Nigeria's energy transition and attract foreign investment, thereby providing a platform for Nigeria to position itself as a leading player in sustainability development. More than ever before, collaborations in such summits have played a significant role in building sustainability in Nigeria by fostering partnership, driving policy reforms, and attracting investment. Some notable examples include the fallout of Nigeria's diplomatic mission to Brazil and Japan, which pushed trade to new frontiers, with Nigeria's non-oil export rising from 19.6% to $3.225 billion in the first half of 2025. Another milestone is the outcome of the Tokyo International Conference on Africa Development TICAD-9, where the LCCI welcomed Japan's $238 million collaborative financing framework for upgrading national electricity generation grid infrastructure. The investment gestures from Japan and other economies encourage Nigeria to equip its youth population with vocational and technical skills to capitalize on opportunities in labor-intensive sectors, such as those found in high manufacturing countries like Japan. President Tinubu's attendance at various summits yielded several economic benefits as Nigeria's GDP grew by 4.23% in second quarter of 2025, exceeding projections and validating the president's reform programs. Already at the 2026 summit, the president announced that Nigeria will co-host Investopia with the United Arab Emirates in Lagos this February. How have international partners contributed to Nigeria's progress in achieving the Sustainable Development Goals, SDGs? What are the gains recorded from previous summits and bilateral engagement? And what should Nigerians expect from Abu Dhabi Sustainability Week Summit? These and more are some of the questions guests on Good Morning Nigeria will find answers to as we discuss Nigeria's engagement in 2026 Abu Dhabi Sustainability Week Summit.
Thank you very much, Ibrahim, for that background report. What should Nigeria expect from this Sustainable Development Summit? Well, our guests are here, and I'm sure that they will be able to give some solutions to some of the questions that you have asked. First, let me introduce in the studio Professor Ken Ife. He is the economic policy analyst. Prof, good morning and Happy New Year. Good to have you this year.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right.
And good morning, Nigerians.
Good morning, Prof. We also have joining us Dr. Adeswa Ereduawa. She's joining us via Zoom. She's a senior research fellow, International Economic Relations Division of Nigerian Institute of International Affairs, NIIA, and in Lagos, and she joins us via Zoom. Good morning, Dr. Ereduawa.
Good morning, Prof. Good morning, everyone.
I'd like to start with you, and I just want us to begin some clarifications before we even delve into the nitty-gritty of the collaboration context, because I hear a lot of countries do nation first, these days. So I would like you to clarify for us what is really happening between multilateralism and bilateralism. Are we returning to the era where realists now, put power, security, and national interest first?
Absolutely. I'd say that there seems to be a greater intention in striking a balance between national interests and, between bilateralism and multilateralism. And I think that has been brought about by the new nationalistic Make America Great Again posture by President Trump. With his new trade policies and tariffs, that drove countries to start to re-strategize their policy, their trade policy, and their engagement policy with other countries. So you see countries are now looking elsewhere, diversifying trade partners, and taking more seriously how to balance and spread out their risks as it relates to trading.
All right. Thank you very much, Doc, for that, your opening shots there. Let's come back to the studio. We'll get back to you later. Prof, it's so obvious now that a lot of countries have realized that collaboration is the way to go, that no man is an island. When we talk about sustainable development, what do we really mean, and why are countries collaborating now?
There's so many reasons why countries collaborate. They collaborate on all kinds of cooperation in education, social, economic, trade. Trade always drives because people want to earn money from foreign currency and all that. So there are many reasons. But then the context of the collaboration could be bilateral, could be plurilateral, then it could be multilateral. So those are the three axes. We are not having problem, as she said, on multilateral because Trump is distorting the entire equation. But the plurilateral is still happening in some area. Although an example of the plurilateral is AGOA, which is only like considering 1 year extension, but it's neither here nor there. And then you also have the economic partnership agreements with the EU and all that. Those are in the second category. But the bilateral have special place. In fact, when we come to talk of what is going on in Abu Dhabi, you will see that Nigeria pursued. The main reason that our president went there is to deliver this comprehensive economic partnership agreement. And it is a big win. It is a big win. Just like you have with China, just like you have with UK. The difference with this one,
as well.
The difference with this one is the investment protection component. Now, investment protection component, the example that it tells you is Nigeria has a treaty with China that provides for investment protection. Even though the Chinese company that came to Ogu have their contract and the governor started messing up with them and whatever they did to them, they went to court, they thought they won. But when they pleaded the treaty, it then gave them access to sovereign protection. Okay. And they can now go for sovereign guarantee, go for our plane. That's the kind of investment protection that you have in this agreement.
No.
Now, the reason why you need it is because, first of all, we have moved away from talking on the climate to action. And action is about bring your money. Where is the money? And the Middle East are the people that are going to be worst hit by what is going on switch to green energy, because they have the most oil and it's fossil fuel. So they are carrying that burden to say, when we want to talk about money, come here. But Nigeria has an objective to infiltrate their sovereign fund. Now, sovereign fund is very, very tough. They need stronger guarantee. So you needed the kind of comprehensive investment agreement we have now with a component of investment guarantee for you to begin to think of accessing their sovereign fund.
Okay.
So do you understand the difference? It's not like WTO said that you go to tribunal, no. That one is, we will come, but don't mess with our investment. Because if you do, we will be heading out to your sovereign guarantee. Do you understand what I'm saying? So that's a very different dimension. But then you are going to see the door open to serious money come in. And also, foreign investments also want to see what are you bringing on the table. So when the government says we'll put 2 billion funds, now they are talking.
Prof,
they can see something, you are serious.
Okay.
Prof, I'm happy with the points that you're giving us. Makes us happy that our president is embarking. But I like to pursue the issue of bilateralism and multilateralism and pro-lateralism, as we have spoken. Now that we've seen a shift, countries of the world, including Nigeria, do more bilateral partnerships, agreements, and all that. What is in it for Nigeria in terms of bilateral agreements, in terms of our role in ECOWAS, in terms of our ability to pursue our own independent, policies and economic, aspirations and all that?
No, the thing is that, if you look at the two areas of trade in services, trade in goods, trade in services is actually bilateral. It doesn't matter whether you call it multilateral, it doesn't care, because they are looking at mode 1, mode 2, mode 3. If you want education, I don't want your education. I want it, okay. If you want my education, I want only the tertiary education. If you want to your internet to come in here, no, don't. They will decide which level of mode, what kind of service. Is it mode 1 where you stay in your country and project the service like in DSTV, or when you come into Nigeria and establish? So some country will say, no, I don't want you to establish here. You can do the service. So there is that selectivity and bilateralism in trade for services. It is in goods that you say blanket 90% of the goods are given, 7,000 tariff lines are exempted. It's in goods that you have that kind of thing. But even in goods and contracting, you need more protection. That's why the specificity of bilateral gives these people confidence to actually fund the project, have their companies go out and do it, follow government and do PPP. When government starts doing what they're doing in Nigeria, we have a reputation, terrible reputation of running PPP, because we always let them down. They have a recourse.
I like what you've just. I like the differentiation you've just made between services and goods, and that makes it clear. I don't know, Dr. Redewa, I'm just wondering. We've had bilateral relationship with UAE, I think since the early 1980s, but of course it became more pronounced in 2000, thereabout, in the 2000s and all that. But can you identify for us, if any of those agreements, because we did sign quite a number of agreements with UAE, are there ones that actually kicked off from being on paper to action?
There are quite a number that I may not be able to mention now, but the trade with UAE is one of our top trade partners in recent times. It's among the top 7 trade partners, the UAE with the UAE and Nigeria. Now, what's good about this comprehensive economic partnership agreement that, as Prof has pointed out, spans trade in goods, services, as well as investment. And you also brought up the issue of our role in ECOWAS, and of course, also in AFCFTA, that it enables us to participate, contribute deeply, and effectively in these agreements in ECOWAS and AFCFTA, because with the influx of investments from the UAE into Nigeria both ways, companies and investors that come and invest in Nigeria, especially in goods and also in services, can take advantage of the AFCFTA, because at that point in time, the rules of origin will not necessarily apply to them, because they are they're investing in Nigeria and producing whatever the production, whether it's in goods that can be exported or it's a service that is domiciled and based in Nigeria. So there's the opportunity for job creation, there's the opportunity for improved regional trade, and Nigeria can take advantage of the AFCFTA and the ECOWAS. But again, back to your point, the UAE is among Nigeria's top trading partners. What this partnership agreement and what I want to see is where the volumes of trade match each other, where there's a balance of trade both ways. And I'm hoping that that's what this agreement will do for Nigeria.
Doctor, yes, it will do a lot for Nigeria, because this is the second time actually that the president will be visiting UAE on such a bilateral agreement. But I just want to find out from you, how do you think that this strategic development can actually help our economy?
So I think I mentioned the increase in trade volumes, the investments, especially investments in Nigeria, in here, opportunity for job creation, opportunity for technology transfer, skills transfer, opportunity, and all of these are important for the economic development. When it comes to the area of food security, we know that we have poor yields. The value chain is, it's especially the cold chain in agriculture is really challenged. So with the influx of technology, the Economic Partnership Agreement sees the 7,000 goods that were referenced include machinery from the UAE to Nigeria, which will further aid production, improve industrialization, create jobs, and help us achieve our industrialization goals in a sustainable and in a clean, manner. So yes, there is a lot of potential for economic growth, economic diversification. All of this that I've mentioned, there is huge potential. There's a benefit, and it's going to benefit the entire, from the grassroots, especially when we're referencing agriculture and food security. When we're referencing digital trade, youth are going to have access. Our youth demography will have access to digital trade skills. So yes, there's a benefit for the economy.
Dewa, I'll still remain with you and talk about a little bit more about the SEPA agreement. That's the Comprehensive Economic Partnership Agreement. And from what the Minister of Trade said last night, it covers a whole lot of areas, from climate resilience, energy transition, BASA innovation agreement, innovation, agric, and all of that. And she said, I think there are over 700 duty-free export lines available for Nigerians. And I'm just wondering, do we really have the demographic strength, to leverage these opportunities?
Yeah, that's a good one. I think it's 7,000, and it's the same thing that thought came to my mind. I would say we do have the potential. And with the with the president's progressive reform agenda, if everything is put in place accordingly, that potential can be turned into, opportunity that we can see, that can be measured. We do have the potential across all these sectors. The president is particular about, for example, energy transition, and we know that he put a lot of focus on energy transition. I think that's also very important for us, because when you compare, for example, a developing country like Uruguay that has achieved 100% clean mix and about 96% renewable energy for its electricity, it's vital for us to turn our potential to practical opportunities. And now, where the president's speech and all the agreement is taking us to is that we need to apply pragmatism to our case, in the sense that these are things that we may not be able to do alone. We need the funding. And that's why the investment drive, the partnership, and the call for funding is a way to see that potential turns to opportunity. So while right now we may not see how we take advantage of, we may not see 7,000 goods, that Nigeria can trade with the UAE, but we see huge potential. So yes, it's more about the potential and the posture of the president through all the policies and the investment drives to see this potential become a reality.
Dr. Eredua, we see huge potentials becoming a reality. Thank you for your comments there. While you were talking, I mean, we have another guest who has just come into the studio, talking about Ambassador Bode Adekeye, who was former acting Nigerian High Commissioner to Kenya. Ambassador Adekeye, it's good to have you join us on this conversation.
Thank you very much for having me. Good morning, and good morning, Nigerians.
All right, we'll leave you to just relax a bit, so that we'll just come back to Prof now. Prof, I mean, already Nigeria and the United Arab Emirates have signed a comprehensive economic partnership, and how do you think, how strategic is this to boosting our economy?
On a bilateral basis, we need this because we need as much access to them as they need to us.
Okay.
And notice that one other interesting thing, that is 3 months visa, that you can just go and explore. Nigerian can just go in there and explore market 3 months in every year. That's useful.
I was going to come to that, because that's another question on itself, the 3 months window.
Very, very useful.
Yes.
Because that place has become an international marketplace. So one of the things you gain is just to go there.
Okay.
All goods arrive there. Go and see. So you know whether you can produce to sell and what you can buy to produce. Okay. The second motivation is that they themselves want you, because you are a gateway for them into Africa continental free trade. And entering into your market as investors, producing something overcomes the rule of origin issue. So they are in Africa, they're as good as being in every part of Africa.
Okay.
But with the safety of the numbers of Nigeria, which is 230 million buyers, and the investment protection Nigeria is going to give to them. Remember, that was the first thing I talked about. Another motivation for Nigeria to go there and do this is because we are putting our finger on the sovereign investment fund. You know, these guys, that guys don't have the hundreds of billions of dollars in sovereign fund. And for you to touch that money, you needed to give them what they wanted, investment protection, which I described. But they can come in here decisively because they have the money. And then the other one that we now, because one of the big challenges is when you want to borrow money for anything, any project, China, so they always want you to put down 15%. So when the government says, all right, we're going to put a fund of $2 billion, yeah, you are serious. You are talking. Do you understand? So that is the significance of this win-win situation. They need something from us. And I remember I began by telling you that they have to now lead the climate action, because it is now about action, not about talking. And they have to lead it because they're the most vulnerable. It's about removing their source of income, which is crude, fossil fuel. So they're going to have to, and they have all these hundreds of billions of sovereign funds. They have to invest them somewhere because they are going to be facing a meltdown on their traditional source of revenue. So they will do trade. Trade will give them a subsidy revenue. Investment in infrastructure will have, as Russia and China does, but investment in productive capacity will seal the deal for them. Do you understand the difference?
Okay.
Using Dubai alone as a trading something is not enough. Being able to bring their investment here to manufacture, to produce for African market, and for replacing their original source of wealth is very, very critical for them. So it's a win-win for both parties.
Okay.
All right, Prof, thank you. So let's bring in Ambassador. Ambassador, thank you very much once again for joining us. You've heard, Prof, talk about, the win-win, but 7,000, duty-free investment export lines available for Nigerians to leverage. Dr. Eredua has said, look, yes, we should be talking about the potentials. That's what we've got. But where does, Nigeria come in here if we're looking at just potentials? And the concern is if we're just dealing with potentials and not the actuals, the real, tangible things to leverage onto, export, then we run the risk of, some kind of shocks, over-dependence and all that. I don't.
Thank you very much. First of all, let me say that at this stage, we should not be talking about potentials. If Nigeria, each successive government had done what should be done, by now, in fact, we should surpass UAE. But, well, that is not the case. So we are in a race. And particularly in face of the uncertainties in the global arena, the current visit by Mr. President, I think it's very useful. First of all, at two levels. At the multilateral level, which is the summit, and of course, at the bilateral level, the agreement which you were talking about, just at the sidelines of the summit. Like I said, the situation right now in the world is such that we are experiencing tension, conflict, uncertainties. We are experiencing tariff wars, and in which developing countries like Nigeria, are the losers. So what then can we do in face of this situation? Of course, the Abu Dhabi summit offers an alternative where countries like Nigeria and others can sit down and discuss issues which are of immediate concern to them, food security, water, issue of climate, global warming, for example, which countries like Nigeria are victims, even though the more industrialized countries caused the global warming. And so these are the issues. But primarily, Nigeria has the duty and the obligation and is responsible for its own progress for development. And so, one, take the issue of energy. We're talking of being in transition. We produce, of course, fossil fuel, but we also have renewable solar energy. We have abundant wind. Along the coast, you have tidal waves, which we can annex to, of course, increase our power output in Nigeria. So, we also have the institutions. We have our University of Technology. We have our engineers who can really sit down and work for us to be able to move forward. For example, in technology, it's not rocket science. So for me, we should not be talking of potentials. We'll be talking of the actual, gains. Yes.
That you've talked about energy, which is one of the key points that Mr. President talked about, energy transition, and of course cleaner energy. We're talking about electric powered vehicles and all that. What really do we have in this area? How can UAE help us?
Well,
not really help. How can we partner?
Work together. Yeah, partnership. That is the thing now. Like I said, our traditional partners are no longer willing to partner with us on a win-win situation, like the professor said. But country like UAE, but of course I must also caution that when you partner with another country, there are interests which each country pursues, and if those interests are not being met, then the agreement may not be as effective for producing the desired result. So Nigeria and UAE, of course, we all have oil, but UAE has gone ahead in producing the desired result. So Nigeria and UAE, of course, we all have oil, but UAE has gone ahead in producing the desired result. So, but UAE has gone ahead in producing the desired result. So, but UAE has gone ahead in producing the desired result. So, but UAE has gone ahead in producing the desired result. So, but UAE has gone ahead in producing the desired result. So, but UAE has gone ahead in producing the desired result. So, but UAE has gone ahead in producing the desired result. So, but UAE has gone ahead in producing the desired result. So, but UAE has gone ahead in producing the desired result. So, but UAE has gone ahead in producing the desired result. So, but UAE has gone ahead in producing the desired result. So, but UAE has gone ahead in producing the desired result. So, but UAE has gone ahead in producing the desired result. So, but UAE has gone ahead in producing the desired result. So, but UAE has gone ahead in producing the desired result. So, but UAE has gone ahead in producing the production of renewable energy, which we are still struggling with in Nigeria. But we have all the resources. You're also talking of, if we're talking of electric vehicles, for example, we have abundant of the natural resource minerals, for example, that strategic mineral resources that we can now harness to produce all that we need in Nigeria. But like I said, countries like UAE and other countries like Brazil, that we can partner with. And Mr. President has been doing that since he assumed office. His drive for investment and, of course, partnership in technology. I think if we continue in this direction and the financial resources we are talking about, no country will come in and just put its money down without, of course, profit, because that is the end thing. And if you also know that the ongoing summit in Abu Dhabi is not just government officials or head of state. We have people, leaders from business world, from technology, coming, to discuss on how far they can partner with different government. And don't forget, their motivation is profit. And so that's the
motivation is profit, is gain. Thank you, Ambassador Adikeye. Okay, let's go back to Dr. Eredua now. I mean, this is not the first time that Nigeria will be signing bilateral agreements. There have been several bilateral agreements signed, with other countries, and this is actually the second time that the President Tinubu will be going to Abu Dhabi. Now, how impactful has this agreement been? I mean, previous summits, how impactful has it been,
This agreement appears to be more impactful because of the, they're ready to go, for example, more labor mobility and the access to 3 months visas for businesses and for investments for Nigerians who want to go to the UAE. Another way it's impactful is the opportunity for investment in Nigeria, especially in this period of our energy transition. The potential and the possible and the promised investments from the UAE to Nigeria, in my opinion, should be focused or should target and achieve that energy access for everyone. Ambassador just now mentioned abundant resources. So what I see is investments, and what I also recommend is investment in solar power energy, for example, concentrated in the north. Essentially, what I'm trying to say is that the investments that are coming in should focus on generation of energy access, because no economy can thrive without access to electricity, without industrialization. So that what I'm seeing from this agreement is that investment, for example, in the north, where there's an abundance of solar and hydro wind energy, investments in the south, where we have biofuels and we have gas, all of these sustainable to drive our industrialization, to drive energy access in the different regions in Nigeria. So yes, this is different because of the indices, because of the zero tariffs on the wide range of products that the minister and the president have scored for us, because of the investment protection. This is different. This is better. This is progressive.
Doctor, let's get back now, Prof. I mean, the Minister of Trade, said it was, there's an 11-month long, very tedious deliberations to arrive at mutual concessions and all that for the 7,000 tariff lines, duty free, which means Nigerian investors can export specified goods
and vice versa.
Yes, with duty free. I mean import duty free within the parameter of AFCTA. What does that mean for Nigeria?
We already submitted our schedule to AFCTA. So this is like subsuming that into this agreement because what you're doing here is you don't have a separate list where their goods may arrive here and then they cannot go away to African countries. So you have to marry that. So it's about 90% of the tariff lines and the ones are 7,000. So it corresponds more or less with what we are doing under the AFCTA. So that you don't have of course, there's a small difference for free trade areas when you have things in free trade zones. But I think one good thing about this negotiation and all that stuff is that they are pointed. Pointed means it's not woolly. When you read so many other agreements, it's just about cooperation in education, called standard language, diplomatic language. All the other ones they do with other countries, the cooperation in education, cooperation in health, cooperation. There's no substance.
Okay.
Here, they're focused and targeted. For example, the kind of numbers they are looking at in the area of SEPA is $10 billion. That's the kind of number they are looking at. Investable number on the digital economy, digital trade, and solid mineral, and of course, you know that they will be interested in processing the solid minerals because that will be one thing on our table. We have lithium here. You are interested in green energy, battery, come and refine the thing. The money can go there easy. But then on the other side, looking at the renewable energy and all the energy area, what we are looking at 8 billion already secured. Looking at 20 billion, the total investment package, $30 billion to 2030. Okay. That is number crunching. It's not talk, it's number crunching. And you can see where the monies are going. We have 215 upstream gas projects that are ready for investment that will deliver our 200 plus trillion cubic feet of gas. It's targeted. We also have marginal oil fields and gas fields. We have flaring of gas. There are gas fields that they want to deploy to gather the gas. And then it's not gather the gas. Gather it for what? Gather the gas for gas to power, to give to power generation. Gather the gas for industrial cluster. So it's targeted investment. It's not empty talk. Targeted investment with numbers there. Yes, so the guys are serious. We are very serious. I've never seen Nigeria in any of mission get so serious and so obsessed with numbers. We know the number. So when you come back, you have a performance framework to monitor who is doing what and how far are we going.
But that has been the challenge, being able to put in performance framework to measure how successful or implementable all these agreements have been. What do you think should be done?
No, this is what when the agreement provides you with numbers and framework and things, it's easier now because you just create your tables for that, because you say, okay, there are 215 upstream gas projects. Let's know who they are, where they are, who is getting involved in what money is going to be involved. So people chase this. You have something to chase, not piece of paper that says general cooperation. Who cooperation with who and what? Where is the resource? So it's very, very pointed and strategic. So it gives me more hope and more confidence about our ability to. But of course, don't forget, the gas is so central to this. That's why they have the AKKs there, the Abuja, Kaduna line. Then you have the OB3, which is another one. Those three, all of them are there. You see what we are talking about.
Okay.
Prof. Sorry, okay. I wanted you to clarify for us, because you talked about the list that Nigeria, has submitted to AFCTA, which is of course what we are dealing with. And I'm just wondering, I was trying to see if we have a detailed list of the exact products.
No, it's tariff lines are
tariff
products.
Lines.
Okay.
Yeah, the tariff lines are products.
All right.
It's just like sugar, glucose, lactose, sucrose, they're all tariff lines. And they attract duty or you remove duty. But they will exist. So those are the things. But there are, remember, when we said 90%, there are 10% Nigeria doesn't want you to go to. Those are things that we are keeping to our breast. So some of the agricultural products might well be there, but we don't want you to import that because we want to add value to those and stuff like that. So it's 90 that we have played out. Let's do deal on this 90, which are 90%, which are our 7,000 tariff lines. And then you just want to make sure that there's a correspondence between what you've already issued to Africa under the AFCT and also ECOWAS as well, and then what you are signing off. All right. So that you don't trap somebody's investment somewhere in between with the expectation.
So there's a sort of convergence.
Okay,
there has to be correspondence.
Okay, let's take some of the comments and questions that we have had to receive from our viewers. This one is from Ahmed Baba Dikwa from Maiduguri. It says, no nation can thrive in isolation. For Nigeria to fully activate its immense potential in economy, education, trade, and counter-terrorism, seeking strategic and collaborative partnership is imperative. However, it is equally incumbent upon us to ensure that this outward engagement does not derail the crucial domestic reforms that form the very foundation for sustainable progress and credible international cooperation. Ambassador Caleb Jingeri from Plateau says, collaboration brings strength, builds team spirit, and promotes new ideas which are used for economic development and policy making. Then Ibrahim Biu says successive administrations in Nigeria should build past gains and agreements while seeking new partnerships for sustainable development. Then Musa Awal from Kano says the strive by the present administration is commendable. However, the world is a global village, hence technological transfer and exchange of technical knowledge should be part of the agreement for Nigeria to continue to progress. And finally, from Chris Simon, it says, good morning, presenters, good morning, Nigerians. No country can thrive well on its own without stronger ties with other countries. It's this collaboration, relationship among countries that put them in sound footings, be it political, economical, technical, and so on. The current state of Nigeria in terms of development is as a result of global collaboration. Cheers to greater heights. Ambassador Adike, you want to respond to some of this?
No, sorry, please hold on. We have our Zoom guest that will leave, in a few minutes. So I think
she will leave by 8:30, maybe 5 minutes.
Good comments. I mean, I agree entirely, but beyond the issue of trade agreements, what Nigeria needs essentially, I think Mr. President also made mention of it during his address in Abu Dhabi, is innovation. Nigeria cannot progress without, innovation. We're talking of the challenge of our deficit in energy, for example. There have been new ways of dealing with that, with, of course, artificial intelligence. Whether you are talking of generation, you are talking of distribution, or you are talking of transmission, the value chain of power. Innovation, I mean, the use of artificial AI is so dominant now that, as a matter of fact, when I heard that Mr. President had signed agreement with the UAE, and I believe that the use of, technology, advancement in technology will be part of that. And UAE is already advancing in that area. So it should not be business as usual, like the professor said. But then, the contents, or what do we have to offer as a country? Is it the old food products, cocoa, granite, and all whatnot that we used to? If that is the case, then that agreement will really not achieve its. But we should go beyond that, process our products, and that, of course, will be competitive with the UAE. So I agree entirely that indeed international cooperation is very, very key, in moving forward in our efforts for sustainable development.
All right. Dr. Redewa, I'm going to lump my questions to ask you, maybe 3 in 1 because of the limited time you have with us. The first is on aviation, and we know that, Nigeria has the largest aviation market in Africa. We all know that. This negotiation, what should we be looking at so that we are not seen to be giving in too much, and of course depriving ourselves of the economic value that should derive. And then secondly, do you really think that we can leverage UAE's expertise, just as Ambassador has said, in renewable energy and clean technologies, to drive our energy transition drive?
Well, thank you. What we should be looking at in this partnership in trade, we should certainly, as the President mentioned, move beyond raw exports. Fine, we have the priority minerals in lithium and other battery minerals and limestone and all. We should move beyond raw exports and leverage the investments such that the benefication, the UAE is supporting, the UAE capital is supporting the whole benefication process. So the focus should be on value add in minerals, value add. We should also, we can also competitively export aluminum products and not cocoa, raw seeds like Ambassador mentioned, aluminum products, plastic products, packaging materials, and all of those basic chemicals and construction imports. And on the other side, the UAE, we import from the UAE machineries that can aid industrialization. That way, we can take advantage of the AFCFTA. Remember that the goal of the AFCFTA, the African Continental Free Trade Agreement, is more focused on improving production scale, regional production scale. So with this bilateral agreement, this SEPA agreement, and these relations with the UAE, we stand to benefit in that regard, where that we can increase our product lines and we can export diversified range of industrialized products to the rest of Africa. You're speaking about if we can really benefit from this partnership with UAE with regards to energy. I think that, especially clean energy, I think that we definitely can. We are focusing on energy transition. At the same time, we don't want to trade our economic development for decarbonization. We need to find a striking balance, and that's where the whole conversation about our gas resources are. And I said earlier that the focus for the relations with the UAE should be decentralized across Nigeria. In the north, we're talking about solar energy, we're talking about solar and wind. In some part of the south, we're talking about the gas, we're talking about biofuels. So we need to strategically make use of the technology from the UAE to decentralize production of this energy mix, these energy sources, and consumption in the different regions. The north is not as industrialized as the south. So focusing investments in solar and in wind in the north will be sufficient for them to for consumption, since they're not as industrialized. While down here, we can focus on our gas and improve biofuel and all of that, sufficient for the level of industrialization that's going on here. The important thing is, and the benefit that this relationship with the UAE I'd like to say again is that there's a balance between our economic development, our growth and diversification, and the decarbonization goals. Thankfully, as you've pointed out, the UAE has sufficient technology to help this energy transition in a way that benefits Nigeria, in a way that's win-win for both parties.
Our aviation, engagements with the UAE.
So, yes, with the new, I'm sorry I missed that. With the new agreement where Nigerian businessmen and investors now have access to 3 months visas with the opportunity for investors to do business in the UAE and both ways, it's going to be a good opportunity, a win-win for the aviation industry. Our private aviation operators, I think that now is the time for them to take advantage of this window of opportunity for business, for goods, for exports and imports. Also, it's not just for the aviation, all the logistics line, but for the aviation, it's a good opportunity. And I think now is the time for our indigenous businesses. I don't want to mention our liners, for example, the ones we already know, to swoop in and take advantage for business and for exports of goods.
All right, Dr. Eredua, thank you so much. Our domestic airlines should take advantage of this windows of opportunity. Thank you so much for your contribution this morning. We gather that you have to go now, so we'll let you go. Dr. Desua Eredua is a senior research fellow, International Economic Relations Division of Nigeria Institute of International Affairs in Lagos. Thank you so much, Doctor.
Thank you for having me.
All right, we'll take a break now. When we return, the conversation will continue. Stay with us. Thanks for staying with us. You're still watching Good Morning Nigeria on the network service of the NTA. And the conversation is still on global impact collaboration. And we still have our guest. And before we went on break, Prof, you wanted to contribute to the question in regards to this aviation agreement.
Yeah, I just wanted us to think about the aviation industry itself. Yeah. Because Nigeria is 4 times the population of South Africa. But South Africa has twice more traffic than Nigeria. They're doing 1.8 million. And we're even going down by minus 7% or so, less than half. So if, apart from increasing the volume, traffic volume in Nigeria, our investment, we can attract investment on aviation, more planes, more expanded, so that not only that we increase our traffic, but we'll be looking at aviation hub in Nigeria for Africa. And then even ECOWAS, can you imagine it takes us 2 days to go to Niger, which is just on top of us, because we have to go to Lomé to Ouagadougou, and that was, come on, when you could just do 1 hour flight across. So it's all to do with the investment. And of course, you know, the service MRO is also very, very expensive. It costs us about $2 billion just to service planes. So that partnership can cause a lot of investment to come to improve that area. Then I want to get more granular on innovation and technology, because the taste of this pudding is in the eating. Nigeria is doing well in the continent in tech hubs. And then tech hub investment, we're doing 40% of the whole. And then if you come to the number of unicorns, the number of people who become billionaires, local, we are doing like 6 out of 8. So we're doing well. But technology, and then we're also investing in digital technology, it's mentioned in the thing. But technology and innovation, as you mentioned, AI is one of them, artificial intelligence, they require energy, because data centers, they gulp energy, the energy we don't have. we have massive deficit in energy.
Okay.
So where are you going to get investment for this energy, for the data centers? We are nowhere compared to South Africa on data centers. And data center is equal to AI advancements in technology. So that is a ray of hope in working with these guys. Not only that they are generating surplus, they're even generating a lot of energy on sun, solar. And they can also fund future development on solar. Don't forget, solar is getting cheaper. Solar is only about 100 naira per unit compared to 209 naira per unit we are paying on band A. So it's cheaper. It used to be 2 hectares for 1 megawatt of solar. Now it's 1 hectare for 1 megawatt. With them putting money on research, it could come down to half a hectare for one. So efficiency and that. So we can benefit from them. We can also host some centers for us, data centers for us, until such a time when we're able to get enough power. So it's a critical link. And so you can see how it could transform the numbers and things.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yes, I'd like to talk to Ambassador. Yes, no, I'll take this. I think some of the messages, relate to it, what you have said, but I have one first. Let Ambassador just take 1 or 2 questions from me, and it's about the 3-month visa window. I mean, if this comprehensive agreement, it's all about win-win. I'm just wondering, is 3-month visa window, is it enough? Is it adequate for, investors to come, especially into our country, where you have a lot of bottlenecks, where you have a lot of issues, I mean, is it enough for them to come and survey adequately, the investment environment?
No, not at all. For me, when you engage another country, all areas, whether business, collaboration, and sustainable development issues, I believe there should be access. You should facilitate access. That is movement of investors between the two countries. And the agreement on 3-month visa seems to be too short, and that will not guarantee confidence on both sides. I mean, for example, an investor coming to the Nigerian investor going to UAE, and you just give him a 3-month visa, that does not show any confidence, And again, one may understand the situation because for Nigeria, the environment, we need to look at our the peculiarity in terms of the security challenges we're facing. Any investor must first of all examine the environment in a country in which he's going to invest. Because one, that investor is interested in, first of all, the short-term, medium-term, and long-term returns on investment. So if he's not too sure of that he's going to get, the desired result on his investment, and of course that must necessarily affect what the government policy is. And we must also learn from this on a part of Nigerian government. One, that our private investors must now begin to drive the process of our sustainable development. The lady just, our colleague who just left us, mentioned the issue about the private sector, and we need to underscore that they should be at the driver's seat. What government should be doing is to provide enabling environment, which the agreement we under discussion seeks to achieve. And we have enough private sectors in Nigeria who really can advance this process of sustainable development we are talking about, whether in civil aviation. And of course, we must commend the present Minister of Aviation for the efforts. I hope he will be able to sustain those efforts, particularly in facilitating the Nigerian's civil aviation sector to be able to get to the international market. For example, in terms of leasing of aircraft, in terms of making sure that they are able to lease their the aircraft in in a favorable time, that will also of course assist them to operate in Nigeria and of course make their profit.
So, Ambassador, also, in other words, what do you think can be done? I mean, Nigerian government should do to measure the success of this development initiative?
Thank you very much. Well, for every agreement, there must be benchmarks. All the agreements we have signed in the past, maybe we need to re-examine and assess that why we had not been able to achieve the desired result. And so we must now begin to do our business in a different way. If we have refused to change the way we do things, and yet we are expecting different results, that cannot be the case. So the government must begin now to put forward the benchmarks, at what time and what ministry or who the official must be held responsible for the implementation of all these agreements, so that in the next 1 year or 2 years, we'll see how far we have gone in achieving the result of all these agreements, particularly the one that has been signed. And I'm pleased that we have a Minister of Industry who I think is goal-oriented, and so I believe she will be able to monitor the progress.
Okay.
All right. I'll just ask Prof. before I take. I have 2 messages with me, and Prof. Demola just asked measurement, but I will ask you for indicators to look out for. Our State House correspondent reported yesterday, like I said, that there was going to be a monitoring framework. A monitoring framework has been attached to this particular agreement, to make it different from other agreements, so to make it unique, and that it is expected that there'll be a mutual meeting at least once a year. So, from your perspective and expertise knowledge, what should be the indicators that we should be looking out for, within this window period?
I think before I land on that, I think I needed to reflect on the visa thing. You have to bear in mind that there are several visa categories. The 3 months is for business people to come and have a look in. It's not for them to go and start working. That's not working permit. That's the visa
different,
for that.
Yeah.
Work permit. And the work permit doesn't give you only 3 months. If your students going to go to their university, it's not for 3 months. Universities are 3 years.
But they are coming to look at the investment.
3 months is given in a year. So you can do it one month, or that 3 months, or whatever. But the fact that is only one visa category. There are several visa categories. We have investor status. In UK, if you can demonstrate £1 million investment, you get the permanent residence. America is $1 million. Then you have business permit. That say, I want to go and do business. They will give you business permit for 4 years. And so there are different categories, student visa. And there are other categories. Many of them, if you are going for hospital, there are treatment. So we just have to recognize that we are moving from nothing to something. And then there are other categories. Then in terms of performance management framework, performance and monitoring and evaluation framework, you also have to have an institutional framework that will operate the M&A framework. So it could be bilateral commission, binational between the two countries, a commission that sits, and they also may even need to have a conflict resolution provision. So what happens if there's conflict between any of us doing business or there must be where it goes and how it's articulated well. Then we have our National Bureau of Statistics that always has the data of what is exported and imported, so the data will be available. Then you have Ministry of Trade Industry that is really seated after the Ministry of after the Investment Commission telling us investment flows. They monitor trade flows. They also monitor development, industrial, because Ministry of Trade, Industry, and Investment. So they already have the institutional to actually gather the data. But all the data should be collated with the binational commission so that they keep on, seeing how they intervene and ease, and they use the data to do something. And they use the data to inform policy, not having data somewhere, nobody can access the data. So there may be a web-based resource where somebody, or dashboard, a dashboard where you can see on a daily basis, on a weekly basis, what these indicators are and what numbers are getting. Numbers, they already have a target of $10 billion on the first one, then on the comprehensive agreement, and then they have $30 billion they are looking at for energy and all that. So you can have how many investment to date, how much is pledged, how much is actualized. You have them on the dashboard. So everybody, it will be different.
You're an economic development expert. What would you like to see now?
That's what I'm saying.
Yes.
I want to see a dashboard.
Okay.
So that all indicators will land on that dashboard. So you don't need to second guess. Before we have our trade meeting here, you will be saying, "Oh, Prof, explain these figures."
All right. Let me take my messages. Yes, I have two messages. This one is coming from Kashim Umar from Kano. Kashim says, government efforts to track investments are commendable. However, equal energy must be devoted to addressing the country's security challenges, providing an enabling environment and critical infrastructure, and also tackling corruption. Without meaningful progress in these areas, sustained investor confidence will remain elusive, and potential investors will be discouraged from coming to Nigeria. Kashim Umar from Kano, thank you. And this is from Engineer Raji Akinola. I agree with the comments from Dr. Adeswa. We have to use what we have geographically to source renewable energy, which will reduce dependency on current electricity structure across the country. Message from Engineer Raji Akinola. And I wanted to ask, again, taken from Engineer Raji Akinola's comment, what do you think about Dr. Adeswa's, comment on decentralizing, the gains from, UAE in terms of, energy transition?
Yeah, thank you very much. Let me first of all comment on the issue about benchmark and the roles of the various sectors. First of all, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs has the coordinating role, all the agreements. And a situation where the ministry seems to have been sidelined in all these things, it doesn't go very well because other ministries don't engage with other governments in diplomacy. So the Ministry of Foreign Affairs has that primary duty to coordinate all agreements. And where there are issues, they are to draw the attention of both the relevant ministries and, the government to those matters. Now, concerning decentralization of the gains of the renewable energy, that one, of course, Nigeria operates a federal government. There are different tiers of government. So it must be all hands on deck concerning, particularly where solar energy, abundant of sun in the north, but of course all working together, all working together, and The role of private sector again must be emphasized at this point, that we have our own national investors, yes. Domestic investors who can invest in all these areas and yet make that. So we should not pin all our hopes on foreign investors coming in. I mean, no, that would not be the case. We as a country, we have all what it takes, to drive our sustainable development,
Ambassador Bode Adikaya, I'm afraid I have to allow you to stop at this point. Thank you very much for the points that you have put forward to us, and I would like to appreciate you for joining us for this conversation on Good Morning Nigeria.
Thank you.
Ambassador Adikaya is former Nigerian ambassador, of course, to Kenya. And then we have Professor Ken Ife, who is an economic policy analyst. We also always appreciate you and your perspectives, and of course the way you break these things down. We look forward to one day becoming an economic expert ourselves. And that's Good Morning Nigeria for today. I thank you for joining us. I'll be back here tomorrow. Demola and I.
Yeah, we'll be back. Thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of your day.